Yeah, what's up, everyone? Welcome to FILMspiration, the place where filmmakers come to get inspired. My name is writer-director Edgar Ibarra. Let's get down to business. So, one of the cool parts about FILMspiration are all of basically you guys and gals in my audience who reached out to me. And, oh, hey, there you are, Mark. Let me bring you aboard at a preview. Oh, this is going to totally work. So Mark Schaefer, when he jumps aboard and is being added by Facebook, reached out to me, tells me that he's been doing his show called Absurd TV for going on episode 5 now, 4 years later, and so I told Mark right away, that's a message of persistence and of determination to get what's inside of here and also out. Mark.
Hey Edgar, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing, Mark? Hey, so I think I'm getting used to the whole like how to set it up. So I do apologize for all the times that it took us, but here we are. So nice
Yeah,
to meet you,
third
man.
time's a charm. Yeah,
Yeah.
likewise. Nice to meet you, man.
So Mark, I was just explaining to everyone on FILMspiration, when this airs. Obviously, um we're not it, this will be on a little later, but I was explaining that one of the first things that hit me, without knowing each other, but you tell me you're a content creator, you've been doing Absurd TV. First off, what is Absurd TV? How did it all start? Talk to me about the concept.
Absurd TV. Basically, I love the name, and so I tried to grab the name because if you like look on YouTube, you'll see a bunch of different accounts with that name, Absurd TV, and
Hmm.
working with the trademark office right now. So I have filed for a trademark on that name. But basically, it was just a way to embody doing short films as a YouTube channel on a steady
Hmm.
basis. Yeah,
Now, talk to
and
me about like we were talking a little earlier while I was actually stepped out of. I'm at my wife's friend's place. I stepped out into the car, and as we were talking over there, you were telling me that you've got a day job like many of us do, but that you had this desire inside to still do your thing, right?
um, can you repeat that? It got kind of cut off a little bit.
Okay. So as we were talking before, Mark, you got a day job, as many of us have day jobs, many of us
Mhm.
creatives. But the thing is that from what it sounds like, through our conversation, you still had that desire to do something because there was still something inside of here that you had to get out and be creative about, correct?
hmm Um, yeah, I guess to go a little deeper, I guess is like more of the big picture. I guess we all have dreams and aspirations, and I kind of wanted to ultimately, it says to always shoot high, and I want to have a network like Comedy Central, something of that
Hmm.
nature, where it's a whole, uh, it's a big thing. It's not something small. So with Absurd TV, I like doing comedy, and thankfully other people have found out about it over the years, and I've been lucky enough to work with other directors, other actors, obviously, and other writers
Hmm.
also to help bring it all together and not just hear my voice in the writing
Yeah.
and to hear other people's ideas and just to make it bigger and better.
Bro, kudos to yourself as well as your
Thank you.
crew for doing comedy because um I could never do that, or at least, if I could try, it would really be painful for everyone else to watch. But I mean, so why comedy? Because
hmm
I one of the things that I was getting from you in a previous conversation is you gotta be able to like laugh at life and see
hmm
the fun side of life, right?
Absolutely. I strongly believe, there's, I don't know the exact saying, but laughter, keeps you young, basically.
Yeah.
And I think me naturally, like when I act, I mean, I guess I, I have to go back to like the movies that I liked growing up, and of course Star Wars was one of them. But I also like Airplane and Leslie Nielsen.
Oh my
I
God,
I
Airplane.
really, yeah, I really love that serious, absurd comedy where they're serious but they're talking about crazy things, and it's just super funny. And that's kind of just what I really like. And when I write, that's kind of what comes out. if you asked me to write a serious drama, it would be difficult. I could probably do it, but it just wouldn't be natural for me personally. And so, you know, it's just, that's what comes naturally to me. Although in my acting career, I do take on serious roles because it's challenging. And so I love that. That's a challenge for me. So I love doing serious roles, but my writing skills lack in seriousness like that.
Yeah. Well, surely you can't be serious. I am being serious, but don't call me Shirley.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
You
right.
know what? Like, very, very, very quick little backstory on that. I love my dad, but I don't know what he was thinking when he let his three kids watch the Airplane 1 and 2 um, obsessively. And so, I look back on those films and I'm
Mhm.
like, what was my dad thinking? Anyway, so I appreciate the absurdity in those two films and whatnot. But Mark, talk to me a little bit about the importance of staying true to, to who you are in here, because like you said, I mean, you could try a drama, but I mean,
Mhm.
it'd be a little bit more difficult. So, for the writers out there, for the directors and the actors and whatnot, um, it's important to find who you are right here and do you, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, and part of that is kind of like if you do what you love as a business,
Hmm.
that you're never going to work a day in your life because you're just having fun. So I mean, like if you're starting a business, obviously, if you love making birdhouses, well, there you go. You're going to love
Yeah,
what you do. So it's important to find out what you love, and then it's not really work. It's just fun. Um,
yeah,
but after doing it for 4 years, it gets tough. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I've done like pretty much every idea I could come up with, and but it's good to work with other people, and because eventually that's what I want to just make it bigger and
yeah.
better. So.
Um, so on Absurd TV, Mark, are we talking like, standalone pieces of comedy, kind of like SNL, or is it like a long running type of a series where each season or each episode links to the next?
Yeah, basically, what I wanted to do when I first started was every month bring out something new, something original, with cast, costumes, sets. Um, I have I build sets in my garage, so that's what I use as my studio,
Uh,
um, and that was the original idea. But some of the ideas are really good, and they're really funny, and I was like, okay, we got to bring that back. So there's certain
mm,
shows or stories, like there's one called Magic Maddie and the Chainsaw. It's about a magician and a magician's assistant, and I think we've done maybe 3 episodes of that already. And then there's another one called The Broker, and that's about an assassin who takes on jobs. We've done 2 of those episodes. So yeah, so basically it was supposed to be something new every month, but it has definitely gone into some episodes where we have multiple episodes. Yeah.
I think that's perfectly cool, because I mean that's why you have a lot of reoccurring episodes. And I mean, look what, Saturday Night Live will bring back actors and they'll say, yeah, it's my, fifth time. I think Matt Damon was on there like 2, 3 weeks ago, and it was like his fifth time, on the show doing his thing and whatnot. So, if you find something that works, why not repeat it?
Hmm.
That's perfect. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah,
So,
and I'd like to touch on that
mhm,
also, because of the format of Saturday Night Live. I love that show, and
mhm,
they do it live. And we filmed our first episode of season 5. It's called 501 Peach Pie, and it's about a chef who's making a cooking show,
mhm,
making a peach pie. And the way we filmed that was with 4 cameras, and we did it pretty much live, like they do on Saturday Night Live. And
mhm.
it because when you do it instead of using one camera, and cutting and editing, doing it live, you get a more of a, I don't know, a live feel to it, obviously. And it's super easy to edit too, because everything's gonna fit. You know, there's not going to be any like weird cuts or anything. And
Yeah.
that was kind of a first for us, doing a live episode in a way, but it's recorded and, you know, and edited.
And and so all of and then after you guys took that sequence, it was chopped up correctly, and then you guys
Hmm.
uploaded it to YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
cool. And so, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say that I know we were talking about being consistent and you know, trying to do on a consistent level. And when I started Absurd TV, before I started, I asked myself, what could I do? Because a lot of YouTube channels, they might do one episode a day or one a week or two a
Yeah.
week, or and I was like, there's no way I could do that for what I want to do, which is like costumes and writing. And so I said, I think I can do one a month. And so that's what I shot for, and that's what we've been doing. But then over the last couple of months, I started doing one a week, but it's not the same level. It's not like a lot of characters. It's more like vlogs and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So it sounds like one a month. I guess what I'm trying to say is it sounds like you found something that kind of works for you guys,
Mhm.
in finding like once a month, because um, I, sometimes I'll get asked a lot of times, by other aspiring YouTubers or other aspiring vloggers, what should I do and what format should I follow? And honestly, like in a lot of the videos that I've seen with regards to specifically that topic, my response is you just kind of have to find what works for you and try different things
Mhm.
and see what does work and see what doesn't work. So I'm happy to hear that you guys obviously and you obviously found what works for you, which is neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess for anybody who's starting a channel, that's, you know, you have to realistically look at what you can do. And for our particular channel, the way I wanted to do like these episodes, I would try to, you have to be ahead of the game, obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't be writing at the last minute, and got to kind of plan things out a month or two ahead, and that way you can reach the goal of
very
getting
true.
it done. Yeah.
Now, Mark, a little bit of my background with regards to, like, just my timeline. I go back to the days where my dad had a 1990 Panasonic camera, over there in the West Covina area. And in 1994, I got curious. I picked it up. I started goofing around with it, and I started editing. So I'd record images, and then, if it was the dogs or some friends, little kung
Hmm.
fu movies, and then I would chop or edit the film between the camera and our first VCR. Eventually got a second VCR. So long story short, basically, I go back a little bit, to those days of like literally the mid 90s.
Hmm.
But, with regards to like things like YouTube and Facebook as being platforms to make and upload and distribute your content, that really gave a lot of power to this filmmaker, as well as many others. How did tech come in and change your game with regards to, getting you to say like, wow, I can do this now, you know what I mean?
Um, that's a really great topic, and I guess for now, I mean, if you're filming, you can make, obviously, on your phone. You know, you
Yeah,
have no excuse to not make a film if you want to, because
very true.
you know, iPhones now, like this one can shoot 4K. You can do it. You can edit it on a computer very easily. But now going back to when I was in high school in the 80s, I had a friend who had a video camera, and we would edit right in camera. So we would film this way, cut, film this way, cut, film this way,
Mm-hmm.
cut. So we didn't have any editing back then,
Wow,
and it was
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing what my friend, I think his name was Darren Black, what he could come up with. And but then, technology. When I made my first feature film, which was back in around 2005, 2008, I bought my first HD camera. It was a Sony FX1, and that records on tapes, digital tapes, and then transfer it to the computer, edit on a Mac, and then output. But now, you know, it's even easier with the new cameras. You know, records on a mini disc, I mean, a SD disc, and it's great. But like I said, jumping to right now, you can just do it right on your phone. And this technology right here is amazing too with Facebook. I love it. I can see you and you can see me. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's wild. I mean, like, you know, a little bit of my background is here in Tucson. I work in the TV industry and in the news industry. So, you know, with regards to how technology can help, you know, in the fields of communication, whether it be film or vlogging in this case, or you know, like I'm just a nerd for those type of things, and it's fascinating to me. That's why I maximize the hell out of anything new that I see that can benefit. But I mean, as far as for being a filmmaker who goes back to, at least in my case, in the mid '90s, and then you see these new technologies, like it really takes away any sort of excuses that any sort of filmmaker may have to say, well, you know, I can't do this, or I can't make a film, or I can't, you know, or and so it really, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, as it's been in my case, it really does take away the excuses. And so it's kind of like life says, okay, what else you got? You know, when are you going to get to work, right? So I mean, could you add to that? Is it more or less the same with you?
Oh, absolutely. One of the first reasons why I decided to make a feature film, actually, I made a feature and then I made shorts, it's really backwards, but it was kind of also out of my ignorance or naivety, because I saw some film festivals and I was going, wow, that's not that great, and I told myself I can do better than that, but then I was like, until you actually do it, you don't really know. And I did it. I got through it. But it's harder than it looks, because I was just like, oh, I could do that, you know. And but it was humbling, and also it was educational, because I mean, when you're starting out and you're making a film, you don't know what you're doing really, and unless you know what you're doing. But and it took me years to finish that feature film. It took me like 3 years. And then, but it's just like now, and then when I did my second feature film, it took me about 2.5 years. So I got faster, but I've learned so much over the time. So now I'm just pumping them out, like, you know, short films, one a month. And it's just a learning process. And since everybody has cameras, I mean, you have no excuse. And some people I've heard say, like, oh, I can't do it because I don't have this person, I don't have this person. Sorry, you can do it all by yourself if you have to, and you have no one else to worry about, and you can get it done. I mean, it's great when you have a big crew, but sometimes it takes a while to get to that level, to be able to manage a crew and kind of, I guess, have the respect or whatever it takes to run it correctly, because it's different, I guess, on different levels. And obviously the end product is the goal, but you really don't have an excuse though to make something. So and even actors and actresses that say, well, I'm not getting roles, you know, it's like, start making your own, you know what I mean? Because it also keeps you on your toes and keeps you fresh. And you got to make connections, got to have friends, and friends help each other, and that's the best way to get things done.
And just to kind of dovetail off of that last point, just yesterday I was actually talking to the mother of an actress here in town, an aspiring actress, and you know, I said, well, you know, her mom tells me that they're trying to, you know, get clips and whatnot together for a demo reel, and I just said, you know, you got a Facebook account? She's a younger actress, and but you know, she's got a Facebook account, and I said, you know, record a film, or it doesn't have to be live, but, you know, how about putting monologues out there? Or how about, you know, coming up with some sort of a skit, something to remind the world that you are there, as in her case, as an actress, and that you are available and that you have talent. And when you stay on people's minds and you're constantly branding yourself as an actress, and just putting yourself out there with today's technology, I mean, even on a phone, I mean, I think those are great tools. Mark, I had
Yep.
another question. I had another question with regard. Oh, okay. Here's my question. With regards to, with regards to all of those, all of the people who aspire, and I can speak a little bit more to the people behind the camera, the writers, the directors, the photographers, and the editors, um, who have a hard time getting to that place of just doing it, just
Mhm.
because everyone's got an idea, but the execution, that's where the game's at. Are you picking up any resources or any phone that you may have? Are you doing it? And in the cases where people are maybe like a little paralyzed with fear, or a little self-consciousness, a little self-doubt, what do you tell those people in those cases to kind of inspire them and get them moving, and and say you
Mhm.
can do this too?
Mhm. Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is from Nike, of course, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's all that's to it. Yeah, you just have to do it. And sometimes I think people don't realize what it is and what it takes. And if you're just talking, I mean, that's a start, but it's not really, it's not, you actually have to do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting, like I said, if I've heard people say they've gone on 100 auditions and not booked one thing, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, you got to make your own product at that point, because I think you can, because once I made my first feature film, I got to tell you,
Mm.
that feature film cost me a lot. It cost me around $30,000 to produce.
Yeah.
But when I went into auditions after that, it was like, oh, I've been in a feature film. I didn't tell them I made it, you know,
Yeah.
but I had something,
Yeah.
and it was a speaking role in a feature film.
Yeah.
And sometimes casting directors, they're busy, and they don't want to just see that you can act, but they want to see that you've been in something, because
Mm.
actually being in something shows that you show up, you're consistent, and you've worked with a crew, and it just brings validity to the whole thing. So no matter what your role is, even if you're not an actor, you're a director or a writer, a lighting technician, do it. You gotta
Yeah.
have some material, because that is the best thing that's going to sell you to anybody who's going to hire you. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that go back to the whole notion of, because I'm a very firm believer in, with the tools that we have at hand, if no one's giving you the opportunity that you're looking for, then maybe it's time to create it for yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree, because not only are you working and you're practicing your trade, but you're going to learn more, you're going to have a finished product, and that's really, I mean, if someone came to me and said, oh, I'm a lighting technician, and I'm like, okay, what have you done, let me see what your work. Oh, I don't have anything. It's like, come on, dude. you know but if he said, like, oh, check out this YouTube video where I lit this scene up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that looks great on camera, because lighting is more than half the battle sometimes to get a good image on film. And
Yeah.
so I guess if you could take that kind of idea to whatever your trade is, I think that would be real helpful.
And I can't speak to the big time productions, but I can definitely speak to a lot of independent film productions. Sometimes that's the key that opens the doors. Just when somebody else sees, okay, this
Hmm.
person's done something, they're not goofing around, and they're gonna show up. They're gonna be serious. And
Hmm.
in your case, on the basis of something that you made, but still though, you did it and you were there, and so that must have,
Hmm.
that must have been a major benefit.
Oh yeah. One other thing I would think that kind of just came to my mind is some actors and actresses. If you go to networking events where there's other directors, and even a film premiere in your area, go and meet the people and talk to them. And you never know when someone will just greenlight you or say, "Oh yeah, come in. I'm doing another production," and that can get your foot in the door,
Yeah.
because now you're in Joe Schmo's film, and then another Joe Schmo might see it, and they'll be like, "Hey, I saw what you did in that other film," and the only way it happened is because you showed up to that networking event, and
Yeah.
you made an impression on somebody where they said, "You know what? I'm going to give you a chance." And I'm not saying like, "Oh, I'm Steven Spielberg," but hey, man, you got to get your foot in the door somewhere sometimes. And I've met a lot of actors and actresses on other people's sets, smaller productions and stuff, and that could be the spark that lights the fire. You know, that you just network from there.
Very
So
true. And
that's
then
great.
so
Yeah.
it basically sounds like it can snowball, and you just have to kind of
Hmm.
run with it and not be scared to run with it.
Yeah. And I met some of my best friends that I still work with today. I've been working with for years, like at the 48-hour film contest. I don't know
Hmm.
if you've heard of that contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 2 days to make a film. It's a great event, and you can network like crazy because there's a lot of filmmakers there, and it's a really fun project.
And Mark, going back and just to kind of go in another direction now, back to the whole persistence thing, which we were originally talking about the night when you reached out to me and we're just chatting
Hmm.
back and forth. What do you do, and what can you share with other people who just have those down days where you just say, you know what, and we've all been there, where you
Hmm.
say, I can't do this, or can I do this? Should I do this? You know, like that when that self-doubt or that fear
Hmm.
creeps in. How do you get through those moments?
Um, Gosh, I all I can think of is doing something else for a while and giving yourself a break, and then explore other people's things and see what they're doing. And because I've noticed when I watch other people's stuff, sometimes that's what inspires me, is seeing other people do their thing. And
Awesome.
yeah, and just after that, networking. Yeah, networking.
Sweet. Mark, so and this is the part where I start to go a little dry, like literally also because I didn't have I'm in my wife's best friend's husband's storage room, and so I forgot to bring a glass of water in here with me. But Mark, is there something else that you want to add, or maybe another? Is that chocolate milk or is that
No,
coffee?
it's iced coffee. We make it
Oh
at
my
home.
God. Oh, I'm gonna
That's
start
good.
drooling right now. Mark, is there something else that you
Hmm.
want to add, or maybe something that I have not asked you about? You know, some wisdom or some sort of message that you want to share out there that I have not asked you about?
I would. I kind of just wanted. I thought about it, as we've been talking over the last day or so, and I was thinking about branding.
Hmm.
Um, like for me, I've always kind of had a graphics background, so I've always been real big on coming with a logo or something to visually give you some identity,
Hmm.
for a company or even an actress or an actor or whatever. So I would just touch upon that. Just keep that in mind. Also, if you're gonna, even if you're an actor, you could start a YouTube channel just with your acting reels, because one thing that I get sometimes is I'll meet people, and then a couple of days later I'll get a call. Hey, do you have a reel? And I was like, of course I do, you know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
and then I just have a link ready to go, and they can shoot them a link within minutes. And that's the kind of thing as an actor that you should have ready as part of your branding. Having stuff ready to go. Of course, like I have an IMDb page. Every actor should, but at least after you've done a couple of projects, you should have an IMDb page where you can see all your past work. And I have an IMDb Pro account, so I'm able to upload some videos. So that, once again, that's a tool to show what you can do on a very quick basis to get somebody interested in whatever it is you do. And so branding is also important.
And from a branding and promo standpoint, just very quick side note. I mean, at least one of the things that I find fascinating is how branding can take many different forms. Like, for
Hmm.
example, one of my classic examples is uh, you think of Steve Buscemi. You know, I think a big part of his branding is his look. You know,
Hmm.
just those eyes, that smile, and just the way the guy sounds. And so I'm pretty sure that is part of the branding, if I could say that. But I mean, or at least I'll describe it that way. But
Yeah,
so
no, I
just
agree.
part of the visual branding is somebody's physical persona. But
Yeah, and real quick, I keep this mustache because as an actor, not nothing to do really with absurd TV, but as an actor, I get a lot of police roles and detective roles, so
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I keep the mustache.
and it works. It works.
Yeah,
You do have a cop type of look. I can totally see that.
yeah, and I'm not a cop, but I play one on TV.
Oh, and so you know what, Mark? Actually, now that we're still talking, day job.
Hmm.
A lot of us have to have the day jobs. You know,
Hmm.
maybe
Oh
some
yeah.
of us aren't as adventurous as just not having a job and relying entirely on film and television. Um, but because you got a day job, that doesn't mean you quit on your dream, and that doesn't mean that you
No.
didn't make it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Um, until I mean, I also have a business on the side that I started back in 1989, and when I started that business, it goes through a cycle, and went up really high at one point where I was making enough where I could quit my day job and just work on my business. So same thing goes with acting. I mean, if you're not making enough to pay the bills on acting, then guess what? You're not going to have a house or a place
Yeah,
to live. So there's nothing wrong with having a job. You have just try to get a job where you're flexible, where you can have time off to go to auditions, and what if you get hired? What are you going to do? You're going to quit your
yeah,
day job, or you're going to call off, and then that causes problems too. So um, and especially if you come to LA to act or any big city, it's expensive. It's way more expensive than other areas. So it's real important that you have a solid foot in the ground wherever you go or whatever you decide to do. And you cannot, in my opinion, you can't quit your steady gig for something that's
yeah,
unreliable.
yeah.
Until you get a reoccurring role on a big TV show or a huge role on a film, honestly, it's going to be tough, to try to
And
pay for it.
yeah, and that's perfectly fine too, because I mean, my two cents on that matter is, go after the dream, but there's also nothing wrong with, like anybody else, building a 401k and making sure that the
Hmm.
lights are on, and just things like that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
M- Mark, so tell you what, but Facebook Messenger, I want you to go ahead and send me all the information, all the contact stuff that you want me to put out there and share
Okay.
with the world in the description. Anything and everything you'd like, I'd greatly be more than honored to put it out there for you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for sharing your time, your knowledge, your just your knowledge in general. Because I mean, I think these are conversations behind the camera that I think I guess the reason why I started doing them is because I wanted to hear more about all the things that I'm asking, because I want to have these talks with
Hmm.
creatives. I want to have these talks, and so thank you so much, Mark. I really really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you so much. And it was great to find out about you. And I saw your video just the other day and inspired me to contact you. And thanks for having me on. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
you're very welcome, man. I mean, that's the whole point of the channel and the concept in general is, we have stories behind the stories of the content that we're creating. So let's talk about those things. So thank you so much for reaching out. I really do
Edgar,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you, Edgar.
You're very welcome. And so for everyone else out there, Facebook, give us a big fat like on the page if you liked the video. Big fat thumbs up if you thought the video was, give us a big fat thumbs up anyway. That's my that's my sarcasm right there. YouTube, hit subscribe, and then also little bell. That way you're notified next time I make a new video. The Twitters, the Instagrams, all below in the description. You guys, everyone, run out there. We're talking about film and television mainly, but whatever your thing is, run out there, do your thing. If you have a higher power, appeal to that higher power. As far as anybody else goes, don't ever ask for anybody's permission. Just run out there, do your thing, tell your stories, um, get better every single day with what you're doing, and never stop doing it, because um, there's nothing like regret. And I refuse to live with regret. So run out there, avoid regret, do your thing, tell your stories. Everyone, thank you very much. Mark, thank you very much. Uh,
Thanks.
my name's writer director Edgar Ibarra. Mark,
Absurd
Schaefer,
TV. Yeah,
Absurd
Mark
TV,
Schaefer.
and Mark, I'm sorry, like, I'm starting to go like really dry here. We're gonna have Mark's link to also Absurd TV. Please check out Absurd TV, the YouTube channel. And this has been Filmspiration. Thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you.